What if the biggest promise you ever break is the one you made to yourself as a kid? The one where you swore you would see the world, write the book, make the team, start the company, call your dad, or finally run that race. We get good at finishing tasks for work. We get bad at finishing the dreams that make work worth doing. Today, let's change that. Years ago, four friends came across an old poem with a simple message. Most of us bury our real desires under busy lives. That line hit me like cold water. They wrote a list of 100 things to do before they died. Then they started crossing them off and helping strangers do the same. The list carried them into wild places. A pickup game with a president, a seat on Oprah's couch. But the magic was not fame, it was motion. Pen on paper, a date on a calendar. A knock on a door. Action creates a life that inspiration alone never will. I learned this during a season when my days felt like copy and paste. Alarm, commute, inbox, Netflix, repeat. One night I sat at my kitchen table with a legal pad and asked out loud, what do I want to do before I die? It felt dramatic and a little awkward. I wrote down everything that came up. Some items were small. Take my mom to the Grand Canyon. Learn to cook one perfect dish. Some were scary. Run the Chicago Marathon. Pitch a podcast to a network. Reconnect with my college roommate after a tense falling out. The first surprise was not the list, it was my mood. The room felt lighter. I slept better. Something in me had been waiting to be asked. Here's what I discovered when I began to move. Clarity is a force multiplier. Most personal goals fail because they are foggy. Get in shape. Travel more. Be happier. Og does not move your feet. A clear aim does. Jog from 6:30 to 8 each morning, 4 days a week for 12 weeks. Visit Zion National Park with my sister this fall. Call a therapist on Monday before lunch. When your goal stops being a vibe and becomes a plan, your brain starts solving for it in the background. You notice chances you used to miss. A friend mentions extra race bibs. A coworker knows a therapist who is taking new clients. The world did not change, your focus did. Deadlines are oxygen. At work, someone always gives us one. Quarter close, client launch. Monday stand-up. Our dreams rarely get that courtesy. So days slip, then months, then years. Give your dream a due date, even a playful one. Put first draft by October on the calendar. Text a friend and say, hold me to it. The research is simple. People who write down goals and share them are far more likely to follow through. One oft-cited study found that writing a goal increases follow-through by around 42%. You do not need a lab coat to test it. You need a pen. Small steps beat big speeches. I used to wait for an open weekend, a bonus check, or a burst of courage. Those windows rarely arrived, so I tried a different rule. Do something tiny today. Email the race organizers. Walk 1 mile after dinner. Watch one 10-minute video on audio editing. Order shoes that do not hurt. Make the first therapy call. I gave myself permission to do it badly. A funny thing happened. Momentum showed up. Small progress made the next step obvious. The next step made me proud. Pride made me curious. Curiosity made me consistent. Helping others multiplies your own progress. Those 4 friends did not only chase their list, they helped strangers chase theirs. When I got stuck, I borrowed that idea. I asked a buddy, what is one thing you want to do before you die? He paused. Reconnect with my brother. We drafted the text together. He sent it. A week later, they were on the phone. I left that call with energy to tackle my next item. When you lift someone else's goal, you remind your nervous system that action is safe. You also become the kind of person who moves. That identity is rocket fuel. Let's talk about time. One writer drew a simple life calendar that haunts me in the best way. It shows a human life as a grid of weeks. When you shade in the ones you have already lived, the page is sobering. If you are 30, you may have only 60 more Thanksgivings with your family. If your parents live across the country and you see them twice a year, you may have 30 more visits. Not 30 years, 30 visits. Scarcity is not meant to scare you. It is meant to focus you. When I ran the numbers, I stopped saying someday to my mom and booked the Grand Canyon trip for fall. We split a diner breakfast in Flagstaff. We watched the sky go sherbet at sunset. We made a memory I will carry for the rest of my life. I almost missed it because I was waiting for a perfect time that never comes. You may be thinking, this sounds nice, but I have bills, kids, and a boss who loves late meetings. Same. Dreams do not require you to blow up your life. They require you to reallocate what you can control. Here's a playbook that worked for me and for people I coach. Write the list, set a timer for 20 minutes, no censor, no judgment. Write until the timer ends. Wild ideas welcome, ordinary ideas welcome. If the page stays blank, prompt yourself. What did 8-year-old me want? What would make me proud at 80? What scares me because it matters? Who do I miss? Where do I feel most alive? Pick 5, circle 5 items that light you up or keep you up. Not the ones that impress your friends, the ones that tug your shirt when you do the dishes. Make one of them tiny. Shrink the biggest one until it fits inside your week. If write a novel is too big, write 2 pages on Tuesday and Thursday is not. If run a marathon is too big, walk for 30 minutes after dinner is not. If repair a relationship is too big, write a kind note and drop it in the mail is not. Set a clear date. Put one item on the calendar with a date you can feel. First 2 pages by October 1st. Walk on Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the next 4 weeks. Call my dad this Sunday afternoon. Tell a person, text a friend who cheers for you, post it on your fridge, place a sticky note on your steering wheel. Humans keep promises better when someone else is watching. Stack habits. Tie the new behavior to an old one. After I make coffee, I write 2 pages. After dinner, I walk. When I park outside the gym, I send the difficult text before I go in. This removes the daily need to decide. Decision fatigue is the enemy. Ritual is the shield. Use constraints as creativity. Money tight, time tight, skills not yet there, good. Constraints narrow your focus. When I trained for my first long race, I had a demanding job and a toddler. I ran in the dark from 5:30 to 6 in the morning. I bought used gear. I ran loops near home so I could bail if someone woke up sick. It was not pretty. It was possible. Put your ego in the trunk. When we chase dreams to impress people, the work gets brittle. When we chase dreams because they matter to our spirit, the work gets durable. If your list includes be on television, ask what the feeling under that dream is. Is it being seen? Is it creative freedom? Is it the joy of performing? There are many roads to those feelings that do not require a studio contract. Start with the road you can walk today. Ask for help early. The most surprising part of my list was how often strangers said yes. Park rangers walked us to better overlooks. A librarian pulled a rare cookbook from the back desk when I told her I was learning to cook. A friend of a friend introduced me to a podcast producer once I had a pilot. Most people love to assist a sincere effort. They just need a clear ask and a little context. Bake in giving. Choose one item on your list that directly helps someone else. Pay for a neighbor's certification exam. Host a free Resume workshop at the library. Organize a beach cleanup and bring snacks. Helping is not a tax on your time. It is an investment that compounds in meaning. Let me ground this with a few stories. I once wrote, make real lasagna that does not taste like cardboard. I laughed when I wrote it. It felt small. It was not. Cooking with my son on a rainy Saturday changed our home life. We slowed down. We learned to fail without sulking. We fed people we love. That little line on a list taught me something big. Some dreams are not ladders you climb, they are rooms you live in. I wrote repair things with my college roommate. I had rehearsed 100 reasons not to call. I decided to take one step. I mailed a simple note, no defense, no list of grievances. Just you mattered to me and I would love to talk. He called. We had a long, careful conversation. We both apologized for the same dumb night. We now text about once a week. The lesson was not that every relationship can be healed. It was that taking a risk for love is almost always worth it. I wrote, run the Chicago Marathon. I am not naturally fast, but I can be stubborn. I made a humble plan. Jog after work 3 days a week. Long walk or jog on Saturday morning. Stretch while watching a game. I taped a calendar to the fridge. I checked boxes like a kid. Race day came. The crowd carried me. I crossed the line ugly crying, which is the best way to cry. That metal is cheap metal. The memory is solid gold. Maybe your list looks different. Visit Yosemite with your dad. Learn Spanish enough to order tacos like a local. Pay off your smallest credit card. Swim in the ocean at sunrise. Read every book by Toni Morrison. Teach your kid to ride a bike without training wheels. Start therapy even if the first session is awkward. Write a thank you letter to the teacher who refused to give up on you. These are not stunts. These are stitches in a life that fits you. One of the most powerful ideas I learned from those 4 friends is that the list does not end with you. Every time they crossed off one of their goals, they helped a stranger cross off one of theirs. Not after becoming successful. Along the way, I have taken that to heart. When I line up for a race now, I look for the runner who seems lost and invite them to jog the first mile with me. When I pitch a podcast, I ask the producer who else they are searching for and send 3 names. When I learned to cook, I taught a friend to make that same lasagna. A rising tide lifts everything. There's another principle that is harder to talk about but might be the most important. I call it friendly mortality. It is the practice of looking at the end not to be morbid, but to live awake. When I sit quietly and imagine being very old, sitting by a window thinking about my life, I do not see highlight reels, I see faces. I feel the warmth of a hand pressed into mine at a hospital. I smell pine from a hike in the Rockies. I taste diner coffee after a long night drive. When I picture that window, it is easier to say no to nonsense and yes to what matters. Friendly mortality is not fear, it is focus. So how do you start? Here's a 4-week plan you can begin tonight. Week 1, know what you want. Write the list without filtering. Circle 5. Pick one small starter step for each of the 5. Put one date on a calendar. Tell a friend. Week 2, control your attention. Trim 2 low-meaning habits to make room. Maybe it is the late-night scroll. Maybe it is the extra show. Use that reclaimed time for your step. Stack the habit to something you already do. Put gentle reminders where your future self will see them. A note on the bathroom mirror. A text to yourself scheduled for morning. Week 3. Make your effort multiply. Ask for help. Offer help. Share one update publicly or with a small circle. Invest $20 or 2 hours in a tool or class that removes friction. Celebrate tiny wins. Celebration builds staying power. Week 4, do something that scares you a little. Hit publish on the messy first episode. Book the campsite. Enroll in the class. Mail the letter. Then do the reflection. What did you learn? What got in the way? What felt fun? What surprised you? Adjust. Pick your next small step. Repeat. A few tips that saved me from quitting. Expect friction. The week you plan to begin, your kid may get sick, the project may blow up, shoes may give you blisters. That is not the universe saying stop, that is life saying prove you want this. Shrink the step and keep going, track with compassion. I love a paper tracker because seeing boxes fill in is contagious. But I also use a rule, never miss twice. If Tuesday slips, Wednesday is your comeback. Be kind, then be consistent. Fight perfection with frequency. One rough podcast episode every week beats one flawless episode that never leaves your laptop. One short run 3 days a week beats waiting for perfect weather. High frequency builds skill and confidence fast. Remember why. Write a sentence at the top of your list that starts with because. Because I want to be the kind of parent who plays outside. Because the mountains make me remember who I am. Because I am tired of outsourcing my courage to a future version of me who never seems to arrive. Give your dream a teammate. Accountability does not have to be public. It can be a friend you text after each small step. It can be a group chat of 3 people who send proof of progress on Sunday night. It can be a sticky note on the fridge your kid gets to put a star on. Accountability should feel like support, not surveillance. Protect your energy. Some people will not understand your list. That is okay. You are not building their life. You are building yours. Choose a tiny inner circle that cheers your changes. If you do not have that circle yet, borrow mine. I am rooting for you. The beauty of a bucket list is that it is not a contract. It is a compass. You will add items. You will remove items. You will complete things you never imagined. You will outgrow things you thought you always wanted. Good. That means you are alive. Let's land this with a question. If you only get 30 more visits with your parents, what do you want those visits to feel like? If you only get 40 more summers, what is one thing you want to be true about each one? If you only get one body, what is one kind thing you can do for it this week? These are not heavy questions, they are honest ones. Honest questions build honest lives. When the 4 friends first wrote their list, they did not know where it would lead. They knew only that time is not guaranteed and attention is the currency of a good life. That is still true. You do not need permission to begin. You do not need a brand new calendar or a brand new you. You need a pen, a date, one small step, and a little nerve. Here is mine for this month. Call my aunt on Sunday afternoon and ask for her gumbo recipe. Book a campsite for late October in the Smokies. Record the first 50 minutes of a new show idea and send it to one person for feedback. Mail a thank you letter to Mrs. Lombardi, the 8th grade teacher who put a book in my hand when I needed it most. Text my mom to set a weekend for that Grand Canyon trip we promised each other and then got busy. Those are not lottery tickets, they are bricks. Brick by brick, we build a life we would be proud to remember from that chair by the window. I hope you make your list tonight. I hope you circle 5. I hope you pick one and make it tiny enough to fit inside your week. Then I hope you do something beautiful and brave and a little clumsy. I hope you help someone else along the way, and I hope you start talking to your future self with more kindness than you knew you had. If this inspired you, please give it a like, subscribe for more weekly insights, and share it with a friend who's on this journey with you. Thanks so much for being here. I truly appreciate you. See you in the next video.